Death at Gallows Green. Chapter 21. 15 men on the dead man's chest. Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. Robert Louis Stevenson, Treasure Island. Kate pulled up the pony and she and Bee sat gazing at the little church, quiet in the morning sun. "It's very old," she said. Aunt Sabrina donated a large sum to help shore up the tower, but it still needs work. Churches always want shoring up, don't they? Bee observed realistically. Our vicar is continually asking for money to keep the tower from falling down. She climbed out and took a heavy bellows camera and tripod from the gig. "Is there a particularly good view?" "Over there," Kate said, pointing to the little knoll from which could be gained a picturesque vista of the church, meadow, and estuary. "But let's look inside first. There are 1 or 2 inscriptions I want to show you, and the north aisle offers some very nice stone detailing." Inside, they spent several minutes examining the carved inscriptions around the stone baptismal font and a commemorative plaque set into the wall. Kate was leading Bee of the north aisle for a better look at the stonework when they were both startled by a sudden apparition. A small girl in stiff pigtails, pumpkin-colored shirt, brown corduroy trousers, and muddy boots. "Oh!" Bee exclaimed, stepping back. "Betsy!" "Well, hello," Kate said. "What are you doing here?" "Praying," was the crisp answer. "What else do people do in churches?" "Oh, lots of things," Kate said. She wanted to ask what Betsy was praying for, but she thought she knew, and the little girl's face did not invite casual inquiries. Did you come to pray?" Betsy asked with more interest now, as if she might enlist the two of them in her petition to the divine, whatever it was. Kate smiled. "We came to see what we could see, and we're very glad to see you." "Yeah," said Bee. "How is your mother? We will be stopping there to visit later this morning." Betsy's "I suppose she's all right but not quite" shrug was perfectly comprehensible. "I can show you around," she offered with a propriety air. "There's a sundial and some very old gravestones. Want a pirate?" "We'll see the pirate," Kate said. "But first, let's look at the stonework." A few minutes later, having admired the interior of the church, they went outside and were met by Cap, who escorted them to the back of the cemetery. The pirate's headstone bore an engraved name, a ship, and a cryptic bit of doggerel. He longed for distant places, he sought the whole world round. Pieces of fate he was after, eternal peace he's found. "I suppose," Bee said thoughtfully, "he really must have been a pirate." Betsy turned to look across the estuary, calm and gleaming in the late morning sun. "There's lots of pirates around here." "There used to be, you mean," Bee said, bending over to examine a clump of silvery fungi. Kep looked at it with her, sniffing to see if it might be something he should remember and come back for later. "No," Betsy said. She clearly did not appreciate contradictions. "Now." "I really don't think there are pirates anymore," Kate remonstrated gently. She thought of Beryl Bardwell. "Except in novels, of course." Betsy gave her a stony look. "You really don't know." "How do you know?" Kate returned. "Have you seen them?" "Of course." Betsy folded her arms across her chest. "2 nights before my father was killed." She pointed across the field in the direction of a stone barn half a mile away. "Over there at Highfield's barn." "At night?" Kate frowned. She didn't ask, "What were you doing out here at night?" for she wasn't Betsy's mother. But the question did cross her mind. "Mr. Brown was hunting," Betsy said. "It was mizzling, so I came with him. He sometimes catches baby rabbits on misty nights, and I take them away from him." Kate frowned, trying to imagine who Mr. Brown might be and why he was so interested in baby rabbits that he'd go out on a rainy night to look for them. Bee laughed at Kate's mystified look. "Mr. Brown," she told Kate, "is Betsy's owl. I met him when we were looking for Jemima Puddle Duck." "Oh," Kate said. "I see." She looked at Betsy. "What were the pirates doing?" Betsy turned to gaze out across the meadow at Highfield's farm. Kate followed her glance. The barn was only one of several buildings clustered together. Some distance away was a farmhouse with smoke coming out from the chimney. "They were drinking rum," Betsy said. She frowned. "But they weren't pirates exactly. They were more like smugglers. There were 5 of them. They whispered the whole while, drank rum out of a bottle. They had horses and a wagon, but it wasn't loaded with dead men's chests. It was loaded with sacks. They drove it down to the river and carried the sacks onto a boat. But smugglers smuggle things into a country, Bees objected, not out. Maybe they plan to smuggle them into Spain, Betsy said. Why Spain? Kate asked. Because, Betsy says, one of the men was a Spaniard. They called him Juan. He drank the most rum. Kate looked at the little girl. Did you recognize any of the others? They had their hats pulled down because of the wet, but one was very thin and had a pointy chin and red whiskers. The other one had the same name as yours. Betsy looked at Bee. Beatrix? Bee asked, surprised. Of course not, Betsy's tone added, you ninny. B-E-E. How doth the little busy bee, Mr. B? Bee looked at Kate, her eyes wide. Red chin whiskers? It must be Mr. Todd, the bailiff. And Mr. B might be Tommy Brock, Kate said. This morning at breakfast, Mudd had reported to Kate and Bee what he had learned at the pub the night before. That Tommy Brock, Mr. B to his friends, seemed to have access to a large supply of shillings, which was quite remarkable, since he had not worked since the last harvest, when he was employed by Mr. Todd. If Betsy were correct in her identification, the source of those shillings might be the pirates or smugglers or whatever they were, of whom Todd was one. She frowned. It certainly looked as if Tommy Brock and Mr. Todd might be involved in something illegal. Theft, smuggling, perhaps both. But did that mean that they were connected with the death of Sergeant Oliver? And were the two of them involved with the theft of the emeralds as well? Or was that an altogether separate matter, unconnected to this one? And what of Lawrence? What was his role in all of this? As Kate and Bee drove on to Gallows Green that morning, they had a long list of unanswered questions to discuss. But their discussion brought them no nearer a solution.